My favourite kind of festivals, the best kind of festivals, are festivals that have an identity, their own identity, and it's not just a succession of bands playing.
To me, one of the good things that makes a great festival is whether it gives you opportunity to explore new music.
You know, you get certain festivals that are just clearly put together with the absolute intention of making the most money possible.
Last year I went to WAD for the first time and wasn't 100% sure what to expect, and I just discovered so much great stuff. I saw kind of Femi Kuti for the first time, but then also alongside that you kind of walk into a tent and you'll see some like Brazilian funk being played.
So the thing that makes a good festival, basically the first thing and possibly the only thing, is the weather. I don't think it matters if the bands playing are all rubbish, the food's horrible, the drinks are useless, the crowd are just disgraceful, but as long as the weather is is nice, that is the main thing.
And I'm not suggesting anybody else is doing festivals as a sort of act of, you know, philanthropy or altruism or something like that, but I went to Festival last year, and Festival seems to have a sort of, it's sort of quite ineffable, but kind of an atmosphere and an attitude that exists apart from the actual bands that are playing, particularly bands that are playing on the main stage.
There was all the kind of, you know, funny stuff about people coming up to you warning me about the radiation from using my iPhone and stuff. But there's also like, it was a really incredible way into new music.
Even if it's nice weather, you know, a festival is not a particularly easy experience, you know, it's just sort of camping and you've got to walk to places, and, you know, compared to the way music is sort of consumed and transmitted, it seems sort of weirdly old-fashioned and weirdly hard work, but you value things you work hard for.
My first festival experiences were all at Leeds Festival when I was about 17, 18. I remember them for loads of reasons, but I know that a couple of them, there were like riots after the bands, basically people just blowing up the campsite, throwing gas canisters into the fire, knocking down the toilets. And I actually invited one of my friends who's from this like really innocent South Korean girl who I met in Berlin, and she came along, and I think it was quite eye-opening for her, because I just remember seeing her sat in the campsite while all these tents were exploding behind her and there's police helicopters circling above. And I just thought I really know how to show a girl a good time.
My first festival experience was when I was 16, and it was at the Big Chill with my friend's family, who had adopted me for the weekend to take me into my first festival, because my mum would never have taken me. She hates camping and festivals, and that was never something that our family would have done. And I was really excited because I'd heard all these amazing tales about being really rock and roll and setting Portaloos on fire and, you know, climbing the gates at Glastonbury and all of that stuff. But for me, it was far more just about being able to smoke and drink coffee and be on my own and be independent.
First festival I went to was the Reading Festival in 1988, and this was famously the year where Reading, which had previously been for many years basically a hard rock kind of festival, decided to change tack quite dramatically and had an indie day. And it was an amazing, you know, lineup. It had My Bloody Valentine and Spaceman 3. Spaceman 3 played at like 3 o'clock in the afternoon, which didn't really work. And then it all went a bit wrong later in the weekend, because it sort of reverted back to being a kind of hoary old rock festival headlined by Meatloaf. Famous for an incident where Meatloaf was getting sort of pelted with stuff and went rather angry. "Do you guys want to rock and roll, or do you want to throw shit at me?" And at that point, somebody just got empty 2 litre bottle just wanged right into Meatloaf's face.
The one artist I would definitely recommend checking out at this year's summer festivals is Kraftwerk, who they're headlining Latitude, and they're doing a 3D show, so you get to put on stupid glasses. And I saw them at Tate Modern. It was absolutely kind of mind-blowing. You just get sucked in, you kind of lose yourself for an hour and a half, then all these kind of amazing graphics coming past your head. Music is obviously fantastic from start to finish, and I just think that will go down brilliantly at the festival.
Elton John is headlining Festival, which I am fairly convinced is going to be, no, more than fairly, I am very convinced is going to be really good, because again, because I've seen Elton John live. I saw him last year in Las Vegas when I went to interview him, And it's just, he's a really good live performer. He plays live all the time. The guy is always on tour, always playing live. He's a really good musician. He's got a really great band. He doesn't piss around on stage. There's very little of "Hope You Like My New Direction." He gets up there and whacks out the hits, and he's got a lot of hits. And there's just, I don't think he's played a festival in England since about 1970. So I'm quite sort of excited.
Glastonbury this year, I'm really excited to see Public Enemy. They are at the same time as the Rolling Stones, so might catch a little bit towards the end of the Rolling Stones, but definitely going to be looking forward to them. Also, really want to see Solange, Jessie Ware, James Blake. There's so many to choose from, but yeah, I think that's going to be great. It's going to be great to hear that in that kind of environment, and I'm going for the first time this year, so we'll see how it goes.
There are a few things on this year's Glastonbury lineup that look quite interesting. I think seeing how all the UK dance acts go down, like Disclosure, Rudimental, Chasing Status, would be an interesting talking point. Some quite strange things, like Bruce Forsyth is playing this year, which I have no idea if it'll be good or not, but it's not something you see on most festival bills. Obviously, the Stones is the big one that everyone's going to be talking about, but because they've not done it before, and because they're such a huge band, it's taken every year. There's been rumours: will the Stones play? Will they not play? So now they're finally here. It'd be interesting to see how they actually cope with festival crowd. A lot of time, people like Bruce Springsteen, they kind of play their touring set, and it doesn't go down so well because they haven't adapted it to the festival. They haven't realised that they have to pull something a bit special out, or just change it up a bit, cram the hits in. So it'd be interesting to see if the Stones can actually deal with that, or if they just kind of do a business as usual set.